How much money did LSU spend on its NIL roster, and why is number 40 million continuing to pop up? How much did it spend on offensive tackle Jordan Seaton, and what do we expect the market to do? Yeah, what do we expect the market to do in 2027 after this wild 2026 that features one transfer portal window? What's up, good folk? It's RJ Young. I am not on a step mill. If this is your first time watching Adapt and Respond, thank you for joining us here. We talk college football year round. If you're into that, hit that subscribe button, like this video, answer the question in the comments below. Is $40 million too much to spend on one college football roster for 1 year? Apparently, if you're LSU, money's money. And they've made that very clear from the jump. In December, they were still paying the buyout for Ed Orgeron, Brian Kelly, and had just signed Lane Kiffin to a $91 million contract over 7 years, going to pay him an average of just more than $13 million annually, and paying bonuses to him for wins that Ole Miss got in the college football playoff. Again, money is not the object for LSU. Winning is the object for LSU, and that continues to be true. Now, one of the things that I find most fascinating about this era of college football is that revenue sharing features, but name, image, and likeness rules when we're talking about money and how it is getting paid out. And as I'm getting into these things, one of the bigger questions I had is, outside of quarterbacks, what are you willing to spend over the market for, right? Outside of the market. Because we know that after quarterbacks, you're really talking about between $300,000 and $1 million, depending on the player, right? For any other position, from offensive line to wide receiver to running back to edge. Some guys get way more than others, but generally speaking, in that range of paying what you would a position coach in college football, which I think is also important to point out for the people that think that, the money's too much. A running backs coach at a Power 4 university is going to make between $300,000 and $700,000, probably more if he's got another title attached to him. Same thing with a linebackers coach. Offensive line coach can make between $7 and $1.5 million. Coordinators can make, between $1 million and $5 million, depending on who you're talking to. It's going to continue to be this way. But the way in which people are comfortable with 20, 30, 40, 50, 6-year-old men making this kind of money, as opposed to 17 to 25-year-olds making this kind of money, is where I find it to be wildly interesting. But Pete Nakos, who does a really great job at On3, talked to 14 Power 4 general managers about who they thought spent the most money, as opposed to numbers, because nobody really wants to show you their balance sheet. Believe me, I've tried. But 10 of the 14 mentioned LSU as the biggest spender in the transfer portal, which probably isn't news to you if you've kept up with college football at all since Lane Kiffin was named head coach. I mean, he already has the moniker Portal King for what he was able to do at Ole Miss, and he's taken that to LSU, rebuilding the roster on the fly in real time every single year. While they added Sam Levitt, who's legit and good, right? Around him, they also got guys on offense and defense. Prince Will Uman-Million is the biggest name on the edge, on the defense they added, and then Jordan Seaton on the other side. It's the Seaton one that really got my attention too, because Seaton was a late addition to the transfer portal after playing at Colorado for a couple of years, 5-star, was really interested in being a part of what Prime was building. And they were good in his true freshman year, and they were sorry the next one. Okay. So he enters the portal, and I thought that there were any number of places he could go, but Oregon and LSU alongside Miami ended up being the three to look at, and LSU came in with a loud number. And according to one person who operates in the NIL space that Nakos spoke to, the number gives him heartburn, which I find that to be very funny, because when you're talking about great players, usually the number is the number. Like heartburn is what you get if you are Stephen Jones trying to sign Deion Sanders to the Dallas Cowboys, knowing your daddy already made this deal and there's nothing for you to do or say. And you're going to pay him an enormous sum of money. But in the case of Deion Sanders, you know what you're getting. You're getting a guy that plays for Super Bowls and changes the balance of power from the AFC to the NFC, or in the NFC, right? When he goes from the Niners to the Cowboys. I don't know that that's what you're getting when you talk about Jordan Seaton. I just don't think that that's what it is, right? But the way it was put was Jordan Seaton's numbers give me heartburn for what's coming next year. I've heard anywhere from $3 million to $6 million on him alone. I think $3 million, I can wrap my head around. Anything more, no way. I already believe he is the highest paid offensive lineman in history. And while you might think that's tongue in cheek, think about it. How much more are we willing to pay offensive linemen in 5 years? If you're paying 3 this year, why aren't you paying at least 10 in 5? And if the roster is $40 million now, why isn't it closer to $100 million 10 years from now? Especially with what we expect the revenue share to do, because while, yes, the headline here is the NFL is going to probably opt out of its deal with the networks, which means that all the networks are saving their money to spend as much as they have to on the NFL, because the NFL is a utility. And as far as television networks are concerned, you have to have it to function. Right? After that, college football. But the deal that I think are going to come up is really going to be about conference realignment. So one of the genius things that networks did following the 1984 Oklahoma versus NCAA lawsuit that basically paved the way for colleges, universities to make their own deals with networks as opposed to having to use the NCAA as an intermediary, was realignment. So the networks came and said, hey, Big 8 teams, Oklahoma, Nebraska, we think it would be really cool if y'all played Texas every single year and we could count on it. To which, how would you do that? Because that's an out-of-conference game for many, right? And they go, well, if you guys played in the same league with a few other teams, we can guarantee that scheduling. And if we can guarantee that scheduling, we can guarantee a commitment, a number to it, because we know the ratings for OU Texas, for OU Nebraska, for Texas Nebraska will be through the roof. So you get the dissolution of the Southwest Conference, you get the Big 8 becoming the Big 12 and absorbing bigger money. And with bigger money comes even bigger money. And as you're getting to see that the teams that play on television make more money as a conference than the teams that do not, you're seeing more haves and have-nots. The SEC has been undervalued for the better part of 20 years. Sweetheart deal with CBS for years that paid, they paid just $50 million for it, which sounds ridiculous, right? And then ESPN paid $300 million a year for it, which now sounds ridiculous because each year that deal seems to just double. I mean, the Big Ten's going to make $1 billion from its network deals. And you expect those numbers to go up. So if those numbers go up and the revenue sharing has to go up because those numbers go up, and name, image, and likeness, which really doesn't have a cap, is going to go up. It's not long before we have Major League Baseball going on, where teams like the Dodgers, right, can afford to pay $1 billion for just 2 players. Shohei Ohtani, and my goodness, I'm forgetting the pitcher's name. Somebody's going to help me out either in the chat or in the comments, but he was clutch in the World Series, which is why I'm ridiculous. I can't remember his name because that was my MVP. The way in which that dude played. But anyway, you're going to get closer to that with teams like LSU, Ohio State, Georgia, Alabama, Oklahoma, Texas, programs where you really can't price them out, right? And they're going to be able to raid your program for whatever it is they want whenever they need. The thing that I think is interesting about LSU is them going all in this year can go one of 2 ways. We've seen the all-in work at Ohio State in 2024. We've seen all-in work at Michigan 2023. We've also seen it crash and burn, right? Penn State 2025, Florida State 2024. it's a very loud thud when you invest this amount of money into transfers to go get it for 1 year. But if it works, you get to be Texas Tech, who entered the college football playoff for the first time as a Big 12 champion for the first time, putting together their best season in history. Indiana, who didn't necessarily go all in, but wasn't cheap, puts together the best season that they've ever had and the first 16-0 season in 130 years with a national championship over Ohio State's dead body, over Alabama's dead body, over Miami's dead body. Not a bad run. So you got more people that are willing to pay the buy-in, which is name, image, and likeness, and the revenue share, to get an opportunity to make a go at this. Ole Miss did this, right? They went all in 2024. It didn't work. They did it again in 2025. It did work. So why wouldn't you see other programs try to do this? But again, it's LSU. It's Texas, right? Cam Coleman, probably the highest paid wide receiver in the country, 2026, because there was a bidding war for him. He might actually make more than Jeremiah Smith, which is kind of a interesting note. But the portal classes themselves, like, they've gotten better around the country. Nick Marsh is going to be playing in Indiana. I don't know how many people realize that Josh Hoover and Nick Marsh is going to be a lot of fun. That's going to be a lot of fun. Jaden Baugh staying at Florida. Tremendous. Darren Mensah going from Duke to Miami might be the reason Miami's right back in the college football playoff. But this $40 million number is going to continue to go up. And while I see a lot of people will make some inferences about what it is that LSU is willing to do or not willing to do, the question will quickly become, who can afford to play college football at the highest level? And as the haves get even bigger than the have-nots, we are going to fast approach two scenarios. One, we're going to extend the college football playoff to 24 teams. So at the very least, you can guarantee that group of 6 teams got an opportunity to make a little bit of college football playoff money to continue to play at this level. Or you're going to sever off the Power 4 and create a totally different tier for FBS football, where you play for the national championship there. And then I don't think you need a group of 6 national championship. I think just one is fine. And maybe you can age up, right? If kind of like the English Premier League, you got relegation, but it won't be relegation. It's just be us going from 130 teams in 2022 to 138 teams in 2026, 134 teams 2024, 136 teams last year, and then, of course, Sacramento State, North Dakota State joining up now. And because James Madison made the college football playoff just 4 years after moving from FCS to FBS, I'm telling y'all, there are going to be so many people at USC, at Wisconsin, at Oregon State, at Washington State, at insert program here that believes it should be playing for the college football playoff and hasn't yet since its inception in 2014, that are going to go, okay, either it's more money or we're firing somebody. That's where we're at now. That's what that $40 million number means. That's what it means to be paying an offensive tackle $3 million. That's what it means to have a one portal window, and that's what it means to have revenue sharing continue to go up, because the price of playing college football will continue to go up. The price of airing college football will continue to go up. And I will leave it with this. Marlowe, price of brick going up. If you like these shorter live shows, let me know in the comments below. Something else we're trying, or I should say I'm trying, right? Seeing how you like it, seeing how you don't like it. We haven't really done longer live shows on this channel, but we might. We'll see. See how these 10, 15-minute shows do, or whether or not you like them. Scheduling them, I don't know. We'll see. Right now, it's February. Working it out, having some fun.